Hey friends, welcome to RV Curious. I'm Peggy Sue and I've spent hundreds of hours researching and boiling down what I learned so that you can spend less time learning and more time exploring. In this video, I'm going to teach you about battery isolation managers. Here we're going to see why you need a battery isolation manager and why your existing BIM might not be good enough. And in a companion video, you're going to see how I installed my new BIM and we're going to solve the mystery of the extra wire. First, it's important to know that in any RV, there are two parts. The recreation part, which is sometimes referred to as the house, coach, or camper, and the vehicle part, which is referenced as the truck or the chassis. Something you may not know is that each side has its own battery to power the things it needs. And even if you were just going to drive to somewhere and plug in your RV, you would still want a coach battery to do things like keep the refrigerator cool while you're driving down the road. The battery isolation manager sits between these two batteries, and not surprisingly, given its name, most of the time the BIM's only job is to keep those batteries isolated. But when you're driving down the road, your alternator is generally creating extra electricity, so the BIM sends this extra electricity over to the house battery system to replenish what you've used up. And sometimes the BIM can also send extra power to the chassis battery. In fact, many RVs have a special button up near the steering wheel that you can press to make this happen if your truck battery gets so low that you can't start the engine, say if you left your headlights on. In a second, I'll share when your existing BIM might not be good enough, but in the meantime, please take a moment now to support my work by liking, subscribing, or best of all, sharing this video. When you first got your RV, you'd probably had same type of battery on both sides, lead acid, and your existing BIM would work great. However, if you decide to upgrade to lithium, as many people do, you run the risk of frying your alternator. The easiest way to think about this is that lithium batteries can consume so much that it can exhaust your alternator and burn it out. This is not only expensive, but it can ruin whatever trip you're on. There are other potential solutions to this problem, but many of them require significant amounts of rewiring. The easiest option by far that I found is the Precision Circuits Lithium BIM 225. It's made specifically to overcome the issue we just talked about and protect your alternator. It's compact and was a direct replacement for the parts that I needed to replace in my Thor motor coach. I think that was pretty good for my first video ever, don't you? See you next time. Until then, remember to stay curious.